Devin. And let me zoom in, and I want to point out what's inside that storm with the velocity. This is where we see winds both toward and away from the radar. Gives us that great circulation point. I just deleted it accidentally. I'm going to go back into it. It's just about to cross over the county line into far northwestern Grayson counties. That's where we have the strongest rotation at this point. If there were going to be a tornado warning, it would be right there. That's just north of 62, right off of Horse Branch, just south of Fordsville. That is going to move very close to that triple point of the counties, where all the county lines come together. So southern Breckenridge, that's southwestern Breckenridge, and northwestern Grayson counties. That's where we have the greatest concentration of rotation showing up on the radar. That's the reason the warning has been issued, and at this point, that's the main concern. We do have additional warnings to the northern Breckenridge, and southern parts of Perry counties in Indiana. That is where we have some fairly strong winds bolting through as well. That's along the front. The tornado warning's just ahead of that. So let me zoom out on the radar, and I'll point out a couple of things that we'll be watching. First off, with so many people in Louisville out and about, we do have a few thunderstorms. Our storms aren't severe, and frankly, the greatest threat is south of Louisville at this point. But we do have along that front severe thunderstorm warnings and even a few tornado warnings across West Kentucky. The one in our viewing area is right now moving over the county line as it moves to the east. Let me put some times on that for you, because this tornado warning is moving off to the east. Give me a second here. Looks like it's moving east with a potential for 60-mile-per-hour winds at about 55 miles an hour. So it's fast moving. Should be moving across that county line any time now. Andy, you want to point out some features? I'll highlight them on the radar.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Kevin. Again, for the storm that is coming through Ohio and into Breckenridge County, there are radar still indications of rotation basically right along the county line where Kevin mentioned where the three were Ohio, Grayson, and Breckenridge counties come together. That seems to be the area of greatest rotation. Actually, it's just a few miles to the west, but that doesn't give you more than a couple of minutes time because of how quickly these things are moving. Again, they're moving at about 55 miles per hour towards the east-northeast. So this is soon going to exit Ohio County and come into the core of it, actually coming into southern parts of Breckenridge County and maybe touching a small portion of northwest Grayson County as well. This is the only warning for tornadoes right now, but the storms up to the north and this particular cell just to the southwest of Tell City is taking on what we call supercell characteristics as well. There may not be a tornado per se there, but there could be some very strong wind gusts over 60 miles an hour. As we looked at some of the information early this morning, winds were running 60 to 70 miles an hour just a couple of thousand feet above the surface. So it doesn't take much of a storm to bring those winds down, and that's what some of these are potentially going to be able to do over the next few hours. Very, very strong winds, and if you've noticed, even outside of thunderstorms today, with some of the rain showers that we've had some wind gusts in the 30-35 mile an hour range. Well, now that these are going up higher and they're tapping into some of those stronger winds, you can bring those down as well. So two areas we're watching, one right along the Ohio River. This is for a line of severe thunderstorms running from near Owensboro up to Tell City, and while they're not severe, they're pretty strong even into some of our southwest Indiana counties. We do have severe thunderstorm warnings still in effect for Perry County for a few more minutes. We also have, of course, the tornado warning, which is of primary concern for you folks in southwestern Breckenridge County, northwestern parts of Grayson County. That is in effect until 4:45. That's about another 13-14 minutes from now. So you need to still be very much in your safe place down here to the southwest, and you can see just how fast these are moving. 55 miles an hour is the speed on them right now, and there's the line extends well back into western Kentucky. There's not much of a southward movement to this. Everything's kind of running along and parallel the Ohio River, and so some of the same areas are going to get some repeated thunderstorms here over the next couple of hours. As far as when they would move into the immediate metro, we're probably still an hour or two away from that, getting into at least the downtown area. All right, the tornado watch, that covers all of Kentucky, well, most of Kentucky. It does include Metro Louisville. It includes those counties immediately north of the Ohio River and then all south into central Kentucky. Tornado watch is in effect until 10 o'clock tonight. There's the tornado warning, of course, the latest on that, including Breckinridge and Grayson counties, and that is in effect until 4:45. There is another aspect of this storm to follow in very short order. Very unusual to have tornado watches and warnings out and a winter weather advisory out at the same time. Now, that may be the case for later on this evening. The timing of the winter weather advisory is about 9 o'clock for our southern Indiana counties, midnight here in Louisville, and 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning down to the south. Now, why is this issued? For a couple of reasons. Number one, this rain and thunderstorm that we have over us now is eventually going to briefly mix over to a little light freezing rain or light snow. What falls from the sky, I don't think is going to be the big issue. The bigger issue is the rapid temperature drop that's going to occur after midnight here in Louisville, where we go from the 60s to the 20s in pretty short order. Whatever's on the roadways is going to freeze. The one thing that may help us with that is if the winds stay strong. If we can keep the wind strong enough late tonight, early in the morning, that may dry us out enough to keep that from happening, but that's not a guarantee. So we've got to keep that in mind for later tonight. But that's for tonight. This is what's going on right now. And there's the storm that looks like they've actually extended the tornado warning back to the west into Ohio County. Another little area has developed right here. So we've actually now got this warning. Kevin, tell me if this is correct. We're now extending it till 5 o'clock. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. In fact, we've not only extended it, but we've included a greater real estate area out of Breckinridge and northern Grayson counties there. So the warning has now been extended off to the east, and that will include a greater chunk of our viewing area in southern parts of Breckinridge and northern Grayson County. I'm going to zoom in just a little more. Still showing signs of rotation. I'll point out again, this is still radar indicated. This has not been reported, though earlier we did see some reports of actual funnel clouds being reported with this storm farther to the west. So as we continue to watch this, let me take off a couple of the features here. I'm going to put on that velocity. That's the wind, both toward and away from the radar. It gives us that real clear picture of where we have the strongest rotation. And there you see it. Scan just a little bit behind. But if we map that out, you can see that strongest rotation now diving across the county line, moving off to the north and northeast at about 55 miles an hour. So you don't have a lot of time to prepare. Let's go to Max 2. I want to point out for folks that may be in the path of this storm, we are still monitoring the tornado warning. The safe place to be is in a basement or a storm shelter. I know it's so rare. Here we are, it's December 17th, and typically we're not talking severe weather, and if you've been out and about and you're getting the alert and you think, well, that must be a mistake. No, in fact, about this time last year, the week of Christmas, we had severe weather as well. So here we are. It's like a repeat. But the tornado safe place, if you have a basement or an underground place, that's the safest. If not, find that interior room or hallway. Even if it's in the basements, that's the safe place. Get in the center, in other words, away from windows. And that will be your tornado safe place as we walk through the storms that are around the area this afternoon. Again, 2 tornado warnings. One has kind of taken over the other that was expected to expire at 4:45. Now we have the second one, which is a little longer in distance, that takes us into southern and central parts of Breckinridge County, just south of Hardinsburg. That's where we have the tornado warning until 5 o'clock this afternoon. So we're watching a very dynamic front. It's this cold Arctic air blast that we've been talking about for weeks. The instability occurred because we had a few more breaks in the clouds back across western Kentucky. These storms are moving into a more stable environment, but this storm's on its own at this point. Until that cold front catches up with it and we can kind of blend it together and wash it out, still showing some signs of rotation. Andy?
Okay, thanks, Kevin. And a couple of things. First of all, I've seen some reports out of Ohio County. The National Weather Service folks have talked to them, and the good news is so far nothing can be confirmed. These are all radar indications right now. That doesn't mean we don't have a tornado on the ground somewhere, because it's a pretty rural area, but nobody has been able to spot anything as of yet. So that's the good news there. The bad news is that this is still very, very intense on radar. And is now beginning to move. The core of it has crossed the county line now into western parts of western and southwestern parts of Breckinridge County. I would say this area out to the west, this aspect of the tornado warning out in Ohio County no longer valid, but it certainly still is for you folks in western parts of Breckinridge County, as well as perhaps the extreme northwest corner of Grayson County. A lot of heavy rain, a lot of straight line gusty winds with this anyway, and there are still some radar indications of some possible rotation as we put the velocity scope on here, and it looks like that's just really right along Highway 110 would be one area in particular in southwest Grayson County to watch, along and just south of that highway. Again, this is a very rural area of Breckinridge County, but we will continue to have to cover this as it moves very quickly to the northeast. This will move across the county from one side to the other just in the next few minutes. This is moving at about 55 miles an hour, and I think it's moving at every bit of that because the upper level winds support that kind of movement. We, again, have been seeing upper winds just a couple thousand feet off the surface, 60 to 70 miles an hour most of the day. When it's cloudy like this, a lot of times that kind of wind doesn't mix down all the way to the surface, but when you get a thunderstorm that pops up, then you can mix those winds down, and that may be what's going on in parts of Breckinridge County. So the tornado warning will continue there. We've got another 15 minutes to go on that. There are still severe thunderstorm warnings in effect further north across Perry County, but the tornado warning here for Breckinridge County, we've got a list of some of the cities that are in the path over the next, well, anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes as it works its way across the core of Breckinridge County at about 55 miles per hour. So it's still a very dangerous storm. While we haven't been able to confirm anything, and it's tough to do in rural areas, the radar signatures very much indicate the possibility of low-level rotation, which is why we're still taking this situation very, very seriously. Kevin?
All right, Andy, thanks. I am pushing out to social media, Facebook, Twitter, that exact warning and that picture you're showing on the air with the cities involved, and that's the time until it arrives. So you've got 10 minutes until it arrives in Cannons Point, McDaniels, 13 minutes until it arrives. This gives us an idea of where that core rotation is and how long it's going to take that part of the storm. You're probably already seeing the heavy rain, some lightning also with this. That's moving northeast 55 miles an hour. Again, this storm showing all signs of rotation, but we've had no actual confirmed reports coming in that says, yes, we've got a tornado on the ground. No, this is just radar indicated at this point, but we have such a busy weekend with so much happening, a lot of holiday parties, a lot of people getting out doing some Christmas shopping, so we know a lot of people are out and about and want to know what's happening with the weather that's taking place. Let me jump to Max 1, and I'm going to point out what we anticipate to happen over the next course of the hour to 2-3 hours ahead. And that's a severe weather time frame for us because we have the tornado watch that includes areas along and south of I-64 until 10 o'clock tonight. Technically, southern Jefferson County or Jefferson County is in that watch, but the greatest potential for severe weather is going to be across the southern part of our viewing area. So Breckinridge, Southern Meade, Hardin, LaRue, Grayson, and Hart counties. Those are the counties most at risk for any type of severe weather. We do have the rain moving in out ahead of that front. That's heavy. Notice the latest warning popping in there. That's for a good chunk of Breckinridge and Meade counties. It comes right up to the Ohio River. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. That is being produced moving through. Wind speeds going to be howling for a period of time too. They're gusting to 30 right now. That's good and bad. Bad because we don't need the wind, but good because it's going to help dry the pavement because these temperatures are going to crash 66 degrees right now, but I'd say by 3 a.m. in the morning we're going to be about maybe 30, if not 40 degrees cooler. We're going down into the low 30s and 20s overnight tonight. Of most concern to us right now happens to be the tornado warning that is in place across decent chunk of our viewing area out of Breckenridge and northern Grayson counties. That's not too far from Rough River Lake. In fact, Short Creek, just to the south of the warning, McDaniels, you're right in the zone there. So while the storm is generally north of you, it's very close, and the warning technically is in place. The latest severe thunderstorm warning was for 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's including Breckenridge, Hancock, Meade, and parts of Perry County. Now, the latest on the tornado warning is that it continues until 5 o'clock for Breckenridge and Grayson counties. You see it is updating, taking out the Ohio County out of that. So we continue to watch this. We have about 11 more minutes on this storm, and we're on the air making sure folks are safe with this tornado warning. If we felt that there was not a threat with this, well, A, the Weather Service wouldn't have the tornado warning out, but B, we wouldn't be continuously on the air. Here is why we are staying on the air with this storm. We have the tornado warning, but in particular, we are still showing quite a bit of rotation with that storm right along the county line. Andy, you want to point that out?
Yeah, let's do that. Again, as Kevin mentioned, we've got our velocity scope on there now, and this is showing areas of winds coming both towards and away from the radar, and where the two come together. And we're showing this area right along, well, basically it's right along the county line between Grayson County and Breckenridge County. This would be the greatest threat of where a possible tornado would be. We always talk about looking at the southern or southwestern edge of the storm, and if you look at where the heavy rain is, it kind of lines up with that as well. So that would be the area of greatest concern for you folks in the far southwest part of the county. This is going to be moving into central parts of the county within the next few minutes because, as we mentioned, this whole storm is moving very rapidly to the northeast at about 55 miles an hour. Over the last few minutes, we've had a new severe thunderstorm warning issued north of this. This covers, it looks like, northern parts of Breckenridge County, a little bit of Meade County west of Brandenburg, and that would be for this cell right here between Tell City and Tobin. Now, if you look at the velocity there, we don't really see much evidence of rotation in that one. So this is more of a straight line wind situation as you work your way up into the northern part of the county, where it's more of a rotating situation as you work your way down to the south. Either one of these, though, still very dangerous storms and capable of causing damage over the next few minutes as they continue to work their way to the northeast. So we're taking both storms seriously, but obviously the tornado warning is a little more prominent in our minds right now. The good news is that all the reports we're getting and what we are able to get is indicated nothing has hit the ground yet. So that's good news. But the storms still look pretty healthy. And even if a tornado does not form, straight line wind damage is certainly a possibility with these as well. So it's going to be kind of a wild afternoon and early evening across parts of Kentucky before the actual cold front comes through. And once the cold front catches up to all these storms, we should see things stabilize considerably in terms of severe weather. Then we deal with what we've talked about over the last several days with the big temperature drop and the potential for a little bit of freezing of moisture on the roadways, because we are going to have some rain through the evening, even as the front initially comes through and drops. The key will be then whether the winds can stay up strong enough to dry the roads before anything would freeze, because we will have until about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning for that to happen, but by then we will be below freezing. So it's going to be kind of an interesting afternoon, evening, and overnight across wave country. All right, let's update the times left on the warnings. We've got the tornado warning in effect until 5 o'clock. That's for you folks in southern Breckenridge and also yes, that's mainly southern Breckenridge and northern Grayson counties. That's got about 9 minutes left to go on that one. And the severe thunderstorm warning, that goes till 5:15 Eastern time, 4:15 local time. That includes northern Breckenridge and southern portions of Perry, southwestern portions of Meade County. It looks like that's mainly west of Brandenburg right now, so a very rural part of Meade County. And the core of the storm is still out here over southern Perry County. It will kind of clip northern Breckenridge and come into western Meade County over the next few minutes. Watch out for some gusty winds with that one. And there are additional storms out in western Kentucky that are severe that will work their way along and just south of the Ohio River over the next several hours. That's why the tornado watch remains in effect. While I agree the main potential for tornadic thunderstorms is south of Louisville and in this southern part of our coverage area, areas along the Ohio River could get some pretty strong storms too over the next several hours before this cold front works its way through. Any new information, Kevin, from your end? What have you got?
No, in fact, you went over the times, which, you know, everything's still on track. It's, you know, we've had no reports. The tornado warning, you know, continues to be issued because of that rotation that we have in there. Again, I pointed out a couple of times the tornado safe places. I just want people to know that if you have the weather app, you were alerted first by this potential of severe weather. We sent out an alert from the station well before the tornado warning was issued, saying that folks in Breckenridge and Grayson County should be on standby. The safest place to be is in the basement or a storm shelter. If you don't have that, you can see that the center part of the room, whether that's below ground or on the main level, is the place to go to for any type of shelter. Again, the tornado warning is in place for generally the southern part of Breckenridge County. We can almost wipe Grayson County out of this warning because the core of that storm is north, and the rotation is dropping off pretty fast. You're looking at the radar view. This is reflectivity that we have. Let's go back to Max 1, and I'll point out on there what we have for the rotation within that storm. And I'm going to show you the difference of what we were watching and what we have now going on. And let me go back to the tools here. Hang on, it's making me choose that. Let's go back, velocity. And within that velocity, as I drag it down on top of that storm, you can see that the colors aren't as vivid, the rotation is not as tight, so we're seeing that storm weaken just a bit. So we'll monitor that. We'll see if the Weather Service continues the tornado warning on through the rest of Breckenridge County, on perhaps even over to the east of that. Andy?
Yeah, Kevin, just saw a note from the Weather Service. What they want to do, they're seeing the same thing we are. They've noticed that the rotation or the threat of rotation has weakened on that particular storm. And what I think they're going to do is look at another couple of scans. These radars, they'll scan the height and the structure of the storm every few minutes. They'll look at a couple of more, and if it hasn't changed, the suspicion will be at 5 o'clock, which is in about 5 minutes, that tornado warning will be allowed to expire and there won't be a new one issued upstream. What I think will happen, very possible though that this may be issued upstream as a new severe thunderstorm warning for more of a straight line wind potential. So that's the thinking right now. We're not totally out of the woods yet on this, but it definitely, the rotation looks weaker, and there still have been no reports of anything on the ground. So we'll stay with you at least till the expiration of the tornado warning, which is in another 4 minutes or so. And then the expectation is that that will be dropped and it may be issued a little further up for a severe thunderstorm warning. But one thing we have noticed is as we move east, the air does become a little less unstable. It's a little more stable. We've had a little bit more rain in areas further east and north during the day, so that should entice a small weakening trend. That doesn't mean that they'll entirely drop below freezing, below severe weather limits, and we just saw an updated scan now. And just to give you an idea of the movement now, the main part of the storm is in the central part of the county, so it is moving very quickly. It does look a little weaker on the reflectivity, though still some heavy rain. No doubt there's still some very gusty winds with this, but it does appear that the potential for rotation at the ground is diminishing. And again, the warning will expire here in about 3 minutes. We'll see if that is going to be reissued or downgraded to a severe thunderstorm warning or just not issued at all. Kind of a 50-50 on our part with that right now. Looking at a couple of other areas, and one thing I've also noticed on this, very little lightning now in this storm. There was quite a bit more of it than there was a few minutes ago. A little bit of lightning in this storm out here around Tell City, and that's still prompting that severe thunderstorm warning until 5:15 for you folks, portions of Perry County into northern Breckenridge and Meade counties, and then the tornado warning still has a couple of more minutes to go. Here's the tornado watch. This is in effect until 10 o'clock. And this will cover mainly Kentucky. It does have our four southern Indiana counties west of I-65. It does not include you folks in our northeast coverage area, even into Oldham, Henry, Trimble counties. You're not included, but everybody else is in the tornado watch, and that is until 10 o'clock this evening. The other advisory, and how often do you see this? In addition to a tornado watch, winter weather advisory goes into effect. Not so much for moisture that's going to fall out of the sky in terms of freezing rain and snow, although there will be a little bit on the back side of this, but the potential there more for a quick freeze of whatever is on the roadways. Now, there are different times that these go into effect. Folks in southern Indiana, especially up towards Seymour and Bedford, it will be in effect as early as 9 o'clock tonight. That's when temperatures there projected to drop below freezing. It does not go into effect in Metro Louisville until midnight, and I think our time to drop below freezing will be a couple of hours later than that, maybe around 2 o'clock in the morning. And then our southern communities, it does not go into effect until about 4 a.m. So for the folks down to the south, it will be considerably later. But that is the situation as we have it right now. Again, for another minute or so, this tornado warning continues for you folks in well, now it's more central, southeastern parts of Breckenridge County, very far northern parts of Grayson County. That is in effect for another minute, and we'll see what the National Weather Service is going to do with that warning here at the top of the hour. Kevin?
All right, Andy, real quick, we'll keep the radar up, and I'll just point out that the tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire in the next minute. They will continue the severe thunderstorm warning out of that. There have been no reports of damage from any type of law enforcement with this. We're still watching some rotation, but at this point, the tornado warning will expire. We'll get you back to regular programming coming up in 30 seconds. Before that, Max 1. I want to show you what unfolds the rest of the afternoon, and that means that we're going to have still a few strong storms passing by, especially across central Kentucky. As that cold air dives in, we see a period of light freezing rain. That's mainly after midnight. Could cause some slick spots along with crashing temperatures. We go from 66 where we are now down to about 26 by 6 a.m. in the morning. So a 30-degree drop in a fairly short amount of time could cause some issues for tomorrow morning. It's 5 o'clock. The tornado warning is being allowed to expire. Andy Weingard, myself, and the rest of the staff here will keep you updated on any future weather updates that you need to know, both on TV and online. For Andy, I'm Kevin Harned. We'll be back with you as needed.